Hey guys, what is up? It's your boy Vijalarazzi here. I hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. Yesterday we talked a little bit about what was FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Today we're going to be talking about the second part of this series, what is FOMO? Now I have a really good example that we're going to use for today's video, so let's get right into this. What is FOMO? FOMO just stands for fear of missing out, and it's the state of mental or emotional strain caused by the fear of missing out, a compulsive concern that one might miss an opportunity or a satisfying event. Why is FOMO important to know? Well, first off, knowing FOMO can keep you from making impulsive decisions. And not only that, fear of missing out destroys noobs' accounts. This is something that I struggled with when I first got into this, and it's something that I see all over crypto Twitter quite prevalently. You have coins that'll start pumping, and then all these news guys just get so excited about it. All of the different fanboys of that certain cryptocurrency will come out and start posting, and they just can't help it. They have to go buy, and then they end up FOMOing in on a coin that's pumping, and what happens most of the time? It retraces, and then they lose money. So here's an example of FOMO, and this was the greatest chart of FOMO that ever existed. This was Bitcoin. We had this major rally from about $180 up to $20,000. So this was a pure euphoria case where everybody was FOMOing in. Nobody could get enough of Bitcoin. It was all over the news. This is just a prime example. So I'm going to transition my screen and we're going to take a look at a perfect example that I've been seeing over the last couple days inside of the crypto market. Taking a look at the daily time frame, this is the coin that has been pumping quite drastically over the last couple days. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about it, and this coin is Ripple or XRP. Now, we had a low down here at about 4,200 sats, and over the course of about 2 days, we've already made it up to about 9,000 satoshis. So that alone is about a jump in value of 116%. So we've over doubled the value of Ripple against the Bitcoin chart in just a couple days. And this is a perfect case of FOMO, or fear of missing out. You have this massive buy volume coming in, which is actually bigger than all of the volume we've had throughout this entirety of the bear market. We have to go back to this initial rally that we had to even come close to the amount of volume that's coming in over the last couple days. We're going to actually dive in here and take a look at a closer time frame. Let's get even closer. Let's check the hour candlesticks. This is just a prime example. I saw this all over Twitter. Unfortunately, I missed out on my buy opportunity down here. I noticed that we had some massive bullish divergence on the RSI. However, I was unable to get to it in time, and we ended up leaving before any of my entries got filled. So instead of me FOMOing into this, I rather waited it out. And we ended up having a massive rally inside of Ripple. It's something that I didn't quite expect. A lot of the times when these coins pump like this, you don't really expect them to go so high. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, especially since we've been in this bear market. These massive 100% pumps aren't quite as frequent, but what I have been noticing is over the last few weeks, we have started to see a lot of alts starting to pick up. Some of them have already jumped up anywhere from 100 to 300%. A lot of them have been listed on Binance. So this is just a prime example. We had the original move down here. You can see that there really wasn't too much buy volume coming in till about right here. And then we have our impulse. Now, after the impulse, we start to have some mass hysteria come into the market where the prices are just getting blown out of proportion. Everybody's pumping and FOMOing into this. They can't get enough of this. So FOMO just stands for fear of missing out. Now, this is quite prevalent inside of a bull market. In this case, we have a perfect example inside of Ripple. Even though we aren't technically in a bear, or even though we aren't technically in a bullish market, a lot of the times FOMO can still happen and occur. And this is what we've been seeing. We had the initial rally that started the hype right here, and then we had the first impulse move. Okay, now this impulse, you have the breakout in volume, and this is what kind of starts the fear of missing out. You have this mass volume. You see people start to talk about it on Twitter. You see all these good traders that have already taken their positions early prior to the pump. They're starting to hype this up, and they're starting to pump their bags. And so all of these new guys that didn't quite see the setup early on, they're getting so excited. They're seeing that everybody around them is making all of this profit, and they just cannot help themselves, and so they FOMO buy. And this is what causes the massive pump afterwards, or the rally on up after the initial breakout in volume, is from people that have fear of missing out. They didn't get in down here at the best risk to reward, and so they just can't help it. They're buying. They're not setting up a trading plan. They're just buying out of pure emotions, and then that's what we're starting to see here. Now, Ripple is still rallying. I do expect us to find a top somewhere here soon. Keep in mind that this sort of forward momentum cannot persist and last forever. I would not be surprised if we start to top out right here, or we maybe go up to maybe 10,000 Satoshis. Anywhere past that, and there might be a real concern, or we might start to believe that this is alt season again, and we could start maybe looking to take some positions in other alts. What I would recommend right now, please, if you're watching this video, do not FOMO buy into Ripple. This is a terrible time to be buying, because we're at the peak point where we're either going to see a really quick spurt and then we're going to top out, or we top out right here. So right now is a terrible time to be buying. There is lots of buy volume coming in, but you got to remember that this is from other people that are stuck buying, pumping candles because they didn't get in down here. This is the perfect example of FOMO, and it's great that we get to actually see a live example happening right now. During these times where coins are pumping, you're going to feel a few primary emotions. One of them is fear of missing out, or FOMO, and another one is going to be greed. Say you take a position down here and you buy into the hype. What happens when you buy into the hype is once the coin starts pumping, you aren't looking to sell, you're just looking to hold. And so what'll happen, sometimes you can get in down here, and if you have a trading plan set up before you even take the trade, you can still profit throughout this initial rally and hype upwards. But for the average consumer or the retail investor, what's going to happen is they're going to enter this market. They're going to, as it goes up, they're going to keep adding positions. They're going to get over leveraged, and eventually this is going to come crashing down, and then you're going to start to see the initial emotions of a market cycle. Now, let's go in here and look at the market cycle graph, because this is going to be the primary emotions that people follow. So this is the average emotions that a new guy is going to be following in a pumping market. You have the disbelief, and then the hope once the market starts to pick up, optimism, and that's when they start to add their positions. There's when it starts to actually go parabolic, and then they go belief, thrill. Thrill is when they're over invested. They have these huge margin positions open. And then euphoria at the very top, when everybody's making money. They just don't see how this is going to go any lower. They're just so excited. This is going to be the trade that makes it big for them. They're so over leveraged. All of their profits are going up and up and up. And then what happens? We crash. And then they get complacent. They expect the next rally to happen. Only the next rally doesn't happen because they FOMO buyed, and then it crashes. And then they go through this list of emotions, and this is just the cycle that repeats over and over and over again. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now. Keep in mind, it looks like we're probably going to go higher in Ripple right now. Like I said, it might hit 10,000. I guess we got to really look at the daily and see, good Lord, look at this. Just pure buy candles all the way through here. I would expect, yeah, right about here, resistance. I think that this is a good target as far as where a retrace might expect. Keep in mind, do not look to buy into this right now. This is a FOMOing candle, and the people are in pure euphoria right now. Anybody that's buying right now is going to take a massive loss when this gets rejected at resistance and then we fall lower. Keep in mind, with these coins that are pumping, they pump really quickly, but you got to remember that they also retrace really quickly. And especially because of the fact we are in a bearish market right now, I wouldn't be surprised if all it takes is maybe Bitcoin to retrace a little bit, and all of these profits are going to get completely liquidated or just lost overall because you FOMO buyed. So if you're holding Ripple right now, now is a great time to be taking profits. Selling into this hype is always the greatest thing that you can do. If you're looking to enter this, do not do that because you will get wrecked. So this is what I'm going to be watching over the next couple days. It'll probably top out this today sometime, but this was just the perfect example of fear of missing out. This is something that I know I struggled with early on. I'll actually show you an example really quick before I wrap things up. Now, this was the greatest example I have of FOMO. Let's find her right here. During this time, if you guys remember, this was 2017, spring of 2017, when all of the alts made their huge rally. Everybody was getting so rich. Coins were 100xing, even some up to 1000x. And it was throughout this time, I remember it was in this 5 wave right here. Now, me and my buddies, we had an apartment together, and this was when I first started kind of really trading heavily. And what happened was we started to see Stellar start pumping. Now, I'd have to go into an even shorter time frame, probably 5-minute candlesticks, maybe even 30 minutes. But basically what happened was we had these huge breakouts in volume. We had the initial rally, and this is what started the FOMO up. We had these massive breakouts, and then right here, right about here, before we went into this mass euphoria, which was about, let's see how big of a move that was. 250%, 265% move into this 5 wave. And it was throughout this entirety of this move up that me and my buddy, we stayed up the entire night. We took caffeine pills. We were ready to just sit here and trade all night long. So we took a bunch of caffeine pills and we sat here and we scalped Stellar all the way to the top. And what was happening was Stellar would pump 20%, and then it would have an 8% retrace, and then it would pump 20%, have an 8% retrace, and it would make these little stair steps all the way up until it finally topped out. And so me and my buddy, we stayed up into the whole night, and we sat here and trade these little stairs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We made quite a bit of money on it, but the problem is when you're FOMO buying, you're not looking at the downside or the potential downside. You're only looking at the profits at hand. And so what happens is once you get to the top of this cycle and it comes crashing down and the bubble pops, you're losing all of your profits because you're trying to play the same strategy that had worked previously, even though the market is corrected and we're now in a bearish trend. And this is what happened. Eventually it got to the top. I was actually somewhat lucky. I had a short position on at the very tippy top of this because I did realize somehow, me being a noob, I was able to just kind of know that this was going to top out and the momentum couldn't persist. However, at this exact time, Poloniex and a lot of the other exchanges also got DDoS attacked. And so what happened was I opened my short and I saw it start correcting, and I just knew that I was about to make so much money. It already made quite a bit of money on the initial rally up. Opened my short position at about 5K sats, and I was just ready for it. And I ended up just sitting there. And then what happened? I refreshed my page and Poloniex wouldn't respond. It tried over and over and over. It was just slow. It wouldn't work. And then finally, I managed to log back in after about 5 minutes. And what happened was we had this huge candle, and probably about 100% was wiped out in just this one move after the initial DDoS attack. And then what happened was, instead of having a short position on, I for some reason had a long position on, and I was getting wrecked. All of my profits were getting lost. Now, this is also a problem on PolonieX's end, but the fact that I was FOMO buying on the initial rally up made it to where I was more susceptible at higher risk for failure, and that's exactly what happened. Even though I opened my short, we got DDoS attacked at the exact same time, and then somehow, I don't know what happened, but I ended up having a long position on it and I got wrecked and basically lost all of my profits from the initial rally up. So this is just a prime example of why you should never FOMO buy. And if you do decide to FOMO buy, make sure that you have a plan in place before you take the trade. Have a timed entry, a stop loss, and an exit, so this won't happen to you. Because when you're trading pumping coins, the risk becomes far greater due to the fact that the percent or the reward isn't going to be as great. But not only that, but all it takes is one little correction and all of the initial profits that you made on the upside are going to be wiped out. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something useful. If you found this video helpful, always remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more updates in the future. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.